Hello Figgy Fiends and Collectors, this is me, Daniel East 1000, back again with another Star Wars The Black Series figure review. Today we're going to be having a look at a special one. It was actually revealed at Star Wars Celebration and is to commemorate 40 years of Return of the Jedi. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Force Spirits 3-pack Anakin Skywalker, Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi. This is an absolutely stunning presentation box. I'm really pleased that Hasbro are going back to making multi-figure packs. This is something that's been well overdue for some years in the Black Series line, and this is done really nicely and right, and a great choice in celebration of 40 years for Return of the Jedi. As always, before we open up this packaging, although I really kind of don't want to do that, I think this is going to be one of the rare cases, if I can find one cheap enough, I might have to get it just to keep boxed. 40 years of Return of the Jedi at the top there. Some legalese as well. Star Wars Return of the Jedi. Some lovely photography of the figures. Name of the characters as well. And then of course a window where you can see the figures inside there. Just very, very retro looking, but absolutely stunning. And on the side, you've got more photography of the figures. Name of the set. Star Wars Return of the Jedi. And pretty much the same thing on the other side as well. On the back, you've got a lovely picture from the film itself. Of course, this is the remastered edition of Return of the Jedi. In the special edition re-releases, they did actually compose Hayden Christensen into the shot, replacing the original actor that played old Anakin. It was a bit of a controversial decision. It does seem like the original editions have been completely scrubbed off the face of the earth, even though you can find them if you look hard enough. But nonetheless, I'm sure to be talking a bit more about this in the actual figure review. You've got a bit of a bio at the bottom there, a ton of legal garb as well, and the same can be said about the bottom. Interesting enough as well though, at the very top of the packaging, you've got a rundown of the figures themselves that actually come in this set, but then also other figures that you can get in the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi Black Series line. These are figures that are basically recarded. It's a nice way for people to get the figures that they like in a retro style card, or if people missed out on those figures, to have a chance at getting them again. Anyway, that's pretty much the main body of the packaging done. Let's open this up and take a look further. New toy smell, I love that. Not only do the figures come in that lovely packaging, you've got them on these retro vintage style cards that everyone loves. So here we have Obi-Wan on his, unpunched as well. Oh, glorious. And then, of course, on the back, ton of legal garb, other figures in the line. If we just pull out the next figure, kind of pretty crazy for such a small figure to be put on a card, but that is absolutely lovely. I love the card artwork on that. On the back as well, similar sort of shtick. And then finally, we have the one I think most people will probably be picking this set up for. And this guy, Anakin Skywalker. Yeah. Considering the original canon line, they had the likeness to Sebastian Shaw on card. I do think they could have done something really cool with this figure. Again, that we'll get into this review. It would have been nice if there was a bit of a tribute to both. But nonetheless, that's what we've got. It does look absolutely gorgeous. And on the back, again, similar shtick, ton of legal garb, other figures in the line. But anyways, that's the packaging finally out of the way and done with. Let's take a look at the figures themselves. And here we have the figures themselves. And I have to say, these are really, really nice, if albeit a little bit basic. So without wasting too much time, let's get into the first figure, because we'll be having a look at them all individually. Starting off with Obi-Wan Kenobi, working our way backwards. Just because this was a figure that was actually originally released and is pretty much a repack with a slight bit of retooling in terms of the head sculpt. I don't know if it's retooling or just a slight repaint, but certainly it has utilised Hasbro's new face tech technology, which they implemented in recent years. So the likeness to Alec Guinness is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really good stuff. In terms of the paint application, there is a sort of strange wash that they've put on it, which is kind of like a metallic blue. So it gives it the very ghost-like and sparkly impression that you see in the film. So Hasbro have done a really interesting thing in that the lower parts of the arms and the legs are more translucent, but it looks really, really good. Of course, you've got his robes there. You've then got this soft goods, almost mesh kind of blue robes, of which sort of represent that blue haze of the Force Ghost. He also has the hook where you could actually fit a lightsaber. Due to the lack of accessories, there's really not a lot to talk about with him. But in terms of his articulation, it is relatively standard fare. He has a ball-jointed head, ball-jointed shoulders, ball-jointed elbows, ball-jointed wrists, ball-jointed torso, ball-jointed hips, swivels at the tops of the thighs, double-hinged knees, and ball-jointed ankles with the rocker joints. So you can get this guy in some really good poses. It is slightly limited due to the plastic skirt. But really, you're not going to have this guy in too many dynamic poses just because, as he's a Force Ghost, he's really just going to stand there, look stoic, guiding Luke through the Force. And this figure does that perfectly. It's a great looking figgy. Granted, if you've picked this one up before, this probably won't be the thing that sells the set for you, but it's just a nice inclusion and, like I said, a nice update from that original. So moving swiftly on, let's take a look at Yoda, of which is teeny tiny but looks absolutely fantastic. Again, with that blue kind of metallic wash, soft goods with that sparkly sort of look there. It's not the blue that the others have. They maybe would have had to double layered that and it probably wouldn't have looked as good. So I like that they went with this. In terms of the arms and the legs as well, you've got that translucent plastic transition. Of course, the base body of this has been taken from the deluxe Luke and Yoda Dagobah pack, and so naturally the scaling is more accurate, at least compared to the original, which I do have, and I still think this is a banger of a figgy. Just a side note there, I'll probably be using this one as my Last Jedi stand-in Force Ghost Yoda.
Skywalker, missed you have I.
So he'll still be within my collection, and he still looks great, but yeah, definitely very different height-wise. This one is certainly a bit more accurate, I think. Of course, in there you've got his belt, and he also has this necklace, which is quite nice. It is also worth noting that this figure is the only one to come with an accessory, really, and that comes in the form of his walking stick, which, again, is painted in a very sort of Force ghostly colour and looks really, really nice. Really impressive how Hasbro got so much detail and articulation as well into this version. In terms of articulation, it does have a ball jointed head, ball jointed shoulders, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, a swivel in the torso, ball jointed hips, ball jointed knees, and ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints. So again, you can get this guy in some really good poses. So that's Yoda. He's great. He's a nice inclusion. Kind of looks a little bit ridiculous as you saw in the box. You would maybe think that at this point I'd say they could have included more accessories, certainly in terms of like a diorama piece, so that you could have him perched on that Brightree Village fencing. But no, that's something that would probably make yourself, and I probably maybe will, or get someone else to do it. Hint, hint. One more figure to look at, and that's Anakin Skywalker, and I think this is absolutely going to be the selling point for most of you to pick this pack up. This is a really good figgy. So while you're looking at him, you'll probably initially think, well, the body is just reused. They've reused that from Obi-Wan. How wrong could you, and also I, be? Because it isn't. They've made a completely new sculpt for it. So he is taller, and additionally as well, this figure has additional articulation that isn't seen on that Obi-Wan. Just having a look at the details first though, that likeness to Hayden Christensen is absolutely phenomenal. Really, really blown me away with that Hasbro. The detail, the sculpting. I love the blue sort of silvery highlights in the hair to give it that Force Ghost look. You've got the same sort of soft goods robing that Obi-Wan had going on, and also the translucent blue transition looks great. The robes as well, really well sculpted and detailed. Just looks absolutely stellar. And I think, yeah, while this set is predominantly aimed at original trilogy collectors, this one in particular will certainly have people who really enjoyed Ahsoka want to pick this up just because of that end scene, let's be honest. So yeah, I'm blown away with this guy, and it really makes me crave a redo of that Revenge of the Sith Anakin, because I really think Hasbro could do a much better job than what we got with that original. But yeah, I'm holding out that hopefully we can get that at some point. But of course, this is a great whet the appetite. In terms of accessories, again, doesn't come with any accessories. Now, as I've sort of previously mentioned, this pack is very original trilogy orientated. I mean, it's in celebration of 40 years of Return of the Jedi. And I think what would have been a way more satisfying celebration of that would be to hark back to the original cut, to have included Sebastian Shaw's likeness as an interchangeable head to that Anakin one, even if you're going to package it in with that Anakin picture. Or alternatively, just do the packaging art half and half. Now, it seems like a little bit of a missed opportunity and would have really, really elevated this set into being pure perfection. A real cherry on that cake, you could say. Particularly as there's not really that many accessories with any of the figures, but despite that, this is how we've been forced to view the cuts of Star Wars now, because the original cinematic versions are not really made at mass-produced retail or even made particularly public. There's certainly a whole argument that can be made about this. I could talk about that on its own for a while. Hopefully one day we may get an acknowledgement to Sebastian Shaw as Anakin. Yeah, really wouldn't hold your breath to it. But in terms of his articulation, he does have a ball-jointed head, a ball joint in the neck, butterfly joints in the shoulders, ball jointed shoulders as well, ball jointed elbows, ball jointed wrists, ball jointed torso, ball jointed hips, swivels at the tops of the thighs, double hinged knees, ball jointed ankles with the rocker joints. So again, you can get this guy in some really good poses, not that you really need to. The robes do kind of limit some of the posing as well, but not too much. Again, you're just going to have him, like with all these, looking very, very stoic. And if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking to create a display of these guys onlooking Luke to recreate the ending of Return of the Jedi, then you're going to be more than happy. And it is surprising for me to say this, but while there isn't that many accessories in this set, I still think this is really worth the value for money. Particularly as well, if you are a carded collector, because they look stunning in that card back, and packaging as well. Figures nowadays are about 20 to 25 quid. So this does check out. Maybe Yoda doesn't quite get this set to the value for money, but if you treat it as an exclusive, which this is, I'm really happy with it. I can't beef it. I can't beef it at all. It's going to depend on your mileage if these are a must-have, but I wouldn't sleep on it for too long, just because I think this Force Ghost Anakin is really, really going to be the main selling point for people picking up this set. There's some really nice updates here, and the inclusion of Anakin, Force Ghost Anakin, is awesome. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And while this is me, Daniel East 1000, signing out, and thank you very much for watching.